Patrizia Calvi, to me, she's getting nervous, to me is a loving, kind, compassionate woman who always acts and does everything she does with utmost professionalism. And most of all, I find her to be a beautiful example of elegance. Don't you think she's elegant? Secretary of the Italian section, Patrizia Calvi, joined the TS in Italy at the age of 20. Since 1995, she works as a full-time volunteer in the Italian General Secretariat. Currently, Patrizia is in charge of the editorial staff of the Rivista Italiana di Theosophica. She is also one of the translators of the magazine and a member of the editorial committee of the Italian Theosophical Publishing House. A member of the council and of the executive committee of the Theosophical Society in Italy since 2007. She was elected to the executive committee of the EFTS in 2004, appointed council member of the ITC in Naarden in 2012, appointed additional member of the International General Council in 2017, and has delivered lectures in Italy and abroad. So as you can see, I am not the only one who knows of Patrizia's virtues. Okay, her talk today is Peace is the Way. Thank you.
I've paid her for this. Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I would like to begin my contribution with some facts that really struck me. At least 65 countries in the world, that is more than 1/3 of all nations, have built barriers in their border. And many of them have been erected since the year 2000. There are walls between Greece and North Macedonia, between North Macedonia and Serbia, between Serbia and Hungary, between Slovenia and Croatia, and between Austria and Slovenia. Sweden has built barriers to stop illegal immigrants entering from Denmark, while Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania have started building defensive fortifications on their borders with Russia. There are 99 peace lines separating Catholics and Protestants in Northern Ireland, but there are also invisible walls, like that one that went up after Brexit. This situation is just as staggering if you look outside Europe. The United Arab Emirates have built a barrier on the border with Oman, and Kuwait has done the same with Iraq, which in turn is separated from Iran. Meanwhile, Iran has 700 kilometers of walls on its border with Pakistan. Uzbekistan has cut itself off from all of its neighboring countries, Afghanistan, Tajikistan, Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, and Kyrgyzstan, all of them. But of course, we could also add the walls that separate Brunei from Malaysia, Malaysia from Thailand, Pakistan from India, India from Bangladesh, China from North Korea, and North Korea from South Korea. Not to mention, of course, the wall between the United States and Mexico, and many more besides. And the recent pandemic and the war in Ukraine have exacerbated the climate of suspicion, the climate of division, even leading to the creation of barriers between the members of the same families or communities. But what's happening? These walls are the physical manifestation that represents our fears, our sense of division, our uncertainties, our instability, that instability that has us in its grip. If we take a step back, it all feels like life must have been thousands and thousands of years ago. Microphone. Sorry. When people still lived in tribes, feared outsiders, and reacted instinctively to things they perceived as threats. Still today, we talk about the walls of Troy, the walls of Jericho, the walls of Babylon, the Great Wall of China, Hadrian's Wall, to speak about the Romans, the Inca walls in Peru, and the walls of Constantinople. Mark Zuckerberg, the co-founder of Facebook, was one of many people who firmly believed that the internet and social media would break down these walls and bring us together. But that did not prove to be the case. Internet symbolically represents what happens on the other planes of existence. It is a network that keeps us all interconnected. But whenever we find someone who we consider in a way or another different and therefore separated from us, we immediately throw up barriers around ourselves. And in spite of globalization, people are still kept apart by cultural, religious, and economic differences. Physical walls first take shape as psychological and mental barriers that stop the flow of energy and love in relationships with others, and that I consider the cause of all the world diseases. In a short video, Radhanath Swami uses an analogy about the honeybee and the fly to teach us how to improve our relationships, how to heal them, and how to improve the quality of life, generally speaking. He explains that the honeybee flies from flower to flower, Murphy's law, sorry, extracting only the nectar, seeking the essence of each flower. Even if a flower is growing among rubbish, the bee concentrates on finding the best in it, rather than giving its attention to the filth all around it. And this can teach us the art of focusing on the positive. Just as the honeybee finds nectar even in the dirtiest and the most unexpected places, we can find positive qualities in everyone around us. The fly, instead, represents a different type of mindset. It might fly among 1,000 fragrant flowers, but it will only ever be attracted by rubbish, ignoring the sweet smell and stunning beauty of the flowers around it. Radhanath Swami goes on to state that ignoring the good qualities and always focusing on the faults of others is extremely easy, requires no effort. In contrast, seeking out the good in others is hard work, but it helps us not only to improve our relationships and break down barriers, but also to recognize the good qualities in ourselves, boost our self-esteem, and acknowledge and appreciate all of the wonderful things that we have to offer. If we think about it, we can see that we have also built walls between life and death, time and eternity, the heavens and the earth, the mind and the heart, ourselves and the rest of the world, the good and the bad, educated and uneducated people, true theosophists and false ones, the original theosophy and false theosophy, peace and war, and so on. But if it is true that life and the problems of all of us human beings are the result of our state of consciousness, both individually and collectively, trying to change human life and conditions without changing human consciousness would be totally futile. The illusion of being separate is created because we identify with the temporary bodies in which our higher self is manifested. And yet, the mind is one. There is just one thought, shared by all humankind. That is what the eternal wisdom teaches us. We also have one consciousness, which we have developed over thousands of years, developed together over thousands of years. On this front, Blavatsky reminds us that between humans and animals, whose monads or jivas are essentially identical, lies the impassable chasm of the mind or self-consciousness. And Jiddu Krishnamurti stated that we are responsible for everything that happens in the world as long as the content of our consciousness remains such. And then we go on saying, I think it is necessary to understand this very deeply. Because when one realizes this, our responsibility becomes extraordinarily important. We are responsible for everything that is happening in the world. We are responsible. And J.K. cautioned us, saying, of what value is your understanding? Of what value are your high and noble thoughts, your pure life, if you don't help those who are in constant pain, who are in darkness and in confusion? Of what value is the truth you have seen if you are not able to give of that truth to those who are hungering and thirsting after the eternal? I was deeply touched when I knew that the Dalai Lama gets up in the middle of the night and prays and meditates for five hours every day before he embarks on his busy schedule. He says that he dedicates this time to filling with compassion every cell of his being, and embracing the spirit of compassion until he feels it intensely. What a huge amount of work and sacrifice in order to keep up his consistently high capacity to give himself and what he has to others. It's amazing. Dear friends, we are the whole humankind. Each of us here and now is the whole humankind. And recognizing the self as one and cultivating compassion frees us from the sense of separatedness and frees the entire world from all types of division and bring peace. Breaking down this wall inside ourselves is also a way of healing the planet and making all walls fall down. It means bringing out cosmic consciousness in humans and creating the chance to experience inner peace. Cultivating compassion makes us part of the effort to heal ourselves and the world. Known as karuna in Buddhism, compassion is sometimes called the jewel in the lotus. The lotus symbolizes the heart opening up, and the jewel represents the compassion revealed in the center of the flower. Compassion is one of the most wonderful feelings to experience, and it gives a profound aim and meaning to human life. So kindly acts, and you shall reap their fruition. Inaction in a deed of mercy becomes an action in a deadly sin. Thus saith the sage. It is the voice of the silence. The challenges that we face are like a mirror, dear friends. They show us exactly what is inside us. Bring out the things that we hide so well even from ourselves, and make us realize what are our real priorities, what we really believe in. If we acknowledge the community as our #1 asset, or if we turn to ourselves when life asks us to put ourselves on the line, and perhaps we end up concealing our fears using the pretext of our much lauded rights. But what about our duties? We have significant duties, which come before our rights, of course. Some great sages have actually gone so far as to say that we only have duties, and that if we fulfill them happily, we will not have the time to think about our rights. This applies to us, firstly, as social beings, and even more so as aspiring theosophists. Follow the wheel of life. Follow the wheel of duty to race and kin, to friend and foe. Quotation of the voice of the silence. Life rather than knowledge, and purified hearts rather than heads that are crammed full will lead us to the feet of our master. Theosophy is different from all other associations because it provides us with the esoteric key to interpreting the word. And Theosophy changes us. Anyone who has come in contact with this ancient wisdom can never be the same again, whether they want to or not. Theosophy alters our existence because it changes our consciousnesses and our hearts, as well as our awareness of life and of its laws. In the words of Annie Besant, that which can never come by argument, by controversy, by intellectual reasoning, will come when the heart of love within us has awakened the spiritual nature. If we want peace, we have to be peace. Peace is a practice, not a hope. When we protest against a war, we can believe that we are pacifists and real representatives of peace, but this presumption is not always grounded in reality. When we look deep down, we realize that the roots of war lie in the lack of awareness in our lifestyles. If we are not at peace, we can do nothing for peace. Smiling is very important. If we are not able to smile, then the world will not have peace. It is not by going out for a demonstration against nuclear missiles that we can bring about peace. It is with our capacity of smiling, breathing, and being peace that we can make peace. These are quotes by the monk Thich Nhat Hanh, who is considered second only to the Dalai Lama in terms of his global influence as a great Buddhist master. Martin Luther King called him an apostle of peace and nonviolence when he nominated him for the Nobel Peace Prize in 1967. His authoritativeness stemmed from the fact that he embodied what he proposed. But exhortations of peace, forgiveness, and mutual love can also be found in our Holy Scriptures. For example, Matthew 5:9, we read, "Blessed are the peacemaker, for they will be called the children of God." Or in the Psalm 34 that says, "Depart from evil and do good, seek peace and pursue it." The Islamic religion warns against living without a fraternal and compassionate approach. The word Islam itself is related to salam, which actually means peace. And it refers to the peace in the heart and the mind. That is summed up also by the greeting used by Muslims when they meet each other. A greeting which means, "Peace be upon you." But peace is also a recurring topic in Hinduism. It is a value shared by many of its schools of thought. The aim of all these big currents of our main school of philosophy is to reach Shanti, that peace that comes from closeness or identification with God, either in the personal form, Ishvara, or in the impersonal one, Brahman. Shanti refers to a state of total peace and imperturbability, a state that leads to balance and moderation, concentration and serenity. There is a quote from the Upanishad that very effectively outlines the fraternal spirit that can lead to inner and outer peace, and it is this: "We are the birds of the same nest. We may wear different skins, We may speak different languages. We may believe in different religions. We may belong to different cultures, yet we share the same home, our art. Born on the same planet, covered by the same skies, gazing at the same stars, breathing the same air, we must learn to happily progress together or miserably perish together. For men can live individually, but can survive only collectively. I like it so much. There are many people claiming that they are working for peace. But if every single one of the tiny cells of which we are made is not made up of peace and does not follow the laws of harmony, we will never emanate it. The presence of the divine light of peace in our hearts makes us realize that every single human being has a capacity to love that is much more profound than they imagine. A capacity to give to everyone freely and generously, healing through peace in the heart. And I would like to close by offering further food for thought regarding the process of healing for ourselves and the whole planet with the words of my beloved master, an Italian theosophist called Bernardino del Bocca. In one of his writings, he says the words that I will read, which were inspired by the service-oriented spirit that imbued all of his actions. And here are his words. Dear reader, don't say that you don't know that there is injustice in the world, that there are people who die of hunger and who are tortured and killed in the name of ideas that are the most shameful betrayals of the mind and the product of the most obtuse ignorance and childishness. Don't claim that you don't know. You can only emphasize that you, that you feel powerless. Sorry. But your soul is powerful, and it can operate beyond the boundaries of space and time. So, close yourself in the secret chamber of your heart and pray. Spread love around you. Leave your grudges and worries behind you and try to be a vehicle in the hands of God. With your soul, you will learn to push past the false limits of matter, race with your thoughts along all the roads in the world, and bring thoughts of peace and love. On the endless paths of your heart, every miracle is possible. You can perform miracles because life performs them constantly. You too are a miracle of love. You just need to realize it. So, dear friends, may peace be with all of us. Thank you.